Back 1100 million years ago, or just in June, I set out to make replicas of all 24 masks from Majora's mask. Then I made 2, and stopped. Life being the way it is, I cannot accurately guarantee that I'm going to make all the masks very soon, if ever. But I do know that I want to keep making them, because they are fun. From here on out, I'll be making and uploading mask videos in bursts, likely 2 or 3 at a time. We'll find out. Anyways, with that out of the way, welcome back to Got Item. Previously, we created the Great Fairy Mask, and what normally comes next in my playthroughs is the Blast Mask. Given that you can purchase a bomb bag even before restarting the cycle, this mask isn't really super helpful. I think the developers designed it to basically be seen as a failsafe for dungeon puzzles that require bombs, with the punishment being that it takes some of your health. Otherwise, bombs themselves would basically be obsolete as soon as you got the mask. Unfortunately, they didn't seem to realize 2 things. 1, you can just hold up your shield to avoid taking damage. Don't ask me how this works, because I don't know. And 2, while this mask may not be great for exploring, it is absolutely amazing for fighting. Since it's a giant area of effect explosion, you can actually use it to clear any enemies immediately around you, which is super helpful specifically for small hordes of enemies like bad bats, bows, or Wart's bubble shield. Anyways, like the mask's general purpose, the way you get your hands on this one is pretty straightforward. If you're exploring around North Clocktown during the first night, you'll probably catch a glimpse of the pale bald guy hanging out behind the slide structure. This is Sakon, the thief. He lives out in Icana Valley and makes treks out to Clocktown with the simple goal of stealing and pawning off stuff from the local merchants. Tonight, he has his eye on one thing. It's not the little kid, thankfully. Within the merchants of Clocktown, there's a bomb salesman and his mother. Tonight, the mother is strolling back to the shop with a new product in tow, the upgraded bomb bags. That's what Sakon is trying to steal. Thankfully, you intervene and get the bag back for the old woman, who gives you the blast mask in return. Not really sure it's a great idea to give an actual child a face-mounted explosive device under any circumstances, but we take it anyways and are well on our way to the next one. That is, of course, if you let Sakon get away, because you don't exactly have to. If you manage to hit Sakon with either an arrow or the hookshot, you blow him up. And I don't mean he gets covered in soot or goes flying off all cartoony, like you actually kill him. He's just gone for the rest of the cycle. He's not in the park, he's not in Icana, he's not even in his hideout. The bag he was carrying was filled to the brim with explosives. You legitimately just erased him from existence. And he won't come back until you reset time. If you blow him up, you also don't get the mask, since the old woman doesn't get her explosives back. So you basically just killed a guy for virtually no reason, other than it was fun. By the way, full props to the North Clocktown guard. No matter if you leave the bag with Sakon or take it back, this guy just stands there staring and lets Sakon get away. Good work, buddy. The creation of this one is pretty straightforward, given that it's literally just a ball with a skull painted on it. But of course, like usual, the simplest of shapes elude me always and forever. I started by using the same dome template I've been using, which might actually be the problem now that I think of it. I'll look into that next time I have to make a sphere. Anyways, I cut out 6 sides, sanded them down, and glued them together at their tips. Once I had them all glued together, I bent and curved the shapes inward to create a round ball. But I noticed they wouldn't be wide enough to both fit together and stay round. So I cut out another different shape to fit in between the first ones. Once I had them all glued, sanded, and shaped, I cut a hole in the back and began to tape up the mask. This tape really hasn't been working for me, so I need to find another way to get the mask paintable. Anyways, once the thing was taped up, I covered it in a layer of white glue to stop it from falling off in as many places as I could. Once it was dried, I painted a layer of lighter blue, and then 2 darker coats once it dried. After the blue was dried, I painted on the first layer of the skull, and then sprayed on a reflective coat to give it a shine. Afterwards, I put on another coat of white on the skull to cover up the cracks in the paint, and it was finished. To be honest, I'm not super happy with this one, at least compared to what it could have been. If I were doing it again, I would review my sphere template and try to make it look much rounder. Otherwise, I think it turned out okay. It was definitely a simpler mask to make, especially compared to the previous one, given there was no hair to work with this time. Overall, this project took a combined 5 hours. After all this time, we're 3 down with 21 to go. I can't think of a bird pun, so I'll just leave it at that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some fireworks to launch.